Hello and welcome to the Red Devil Review. I'm Jamie and this is Will.
Hello.
It's the 6th of October. We're doing this on the Monday morning and it's a shitty Monday morning with rain pouring down the side of the house. And we decided that we're going to take time out to do the podcast for the 2-1 victory over Everton. Good stuff. Isn't it, William?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Yeah, it is. I don't know why it's funny. It was good. It was good. We won. So there was goals from Di Maria, Stephen Naismith for Everton, and Radamel Falcao scored. If you'd told me at the beginning of the summer that we would win a game in which Angel Di Maria and Radamel Falcao scored our goals...
Set up by one matter.
Set up by one matter. If you told me, exactly, if you told me 2 seasons ago that would have been the case, I would have been, I would have lied. I would have shouted in your face, stop being a liar and get out of my house.
Okay. That was strange.
Okay, so let's start. We're going to do team ratings backwards, and I'm sure a lot of you out there know why, because we want to spend a lot of time looking at the back four and our goalkeeper. So let's start with Radamel Falcao, who scored the eventual winner. What did you give his performance?
I gave him an 8 out of 10 because he scored a fantastic finish, a real poacher's goal, and he always looked dangerous. Where there was a cross, he was always kind of there on the end of it, trying to make something out of it, which was always encouraging to see. Yeah.
I gave him a 7. The reason I gave him a 7, if he hadn't scored, I probably would have given him a 6 because his finishing were up until the goal, and obviously Van Gaal mentioned this in the post-match interview, that he kept saying to Falcao, don't worry, I'm satisfied with your performances and the goals will come. But you could see in the last few games that Falcao is desperate for a goal, in the sense that he was shooting from places where it would have been wiser to pass. His shots were really rushed, and even when he was like 6 yards out, he misses it from 6 yards out. Like, people say, oh, it's a deflection, but it's going wide and the deflection just gets us a corner. It would have just been really embarrassing, potentially confidence smashing miss had he otherwise not gone in and there had been no deflection. But he did save a goal off the line. His work rate was really strong. As you said actually during the game, you were expecting him to be a poacher, or sort of a lazy poacher, sort of like Berbatov or somebody like that, but he has the work rate. So yeah, because he saved a goal off the line and because he actually scored the eventual winner, I've given him a 7. But I would say that he didn't play worse. Do apologise, everyone. He hasn't played worse or better than this, I'd say. Like, he's always been good, with or without the goals. I think he's always been good.
I think it was just the fact that he was getting on the end of crosses and he did actually score a good goal. So that's always encouraging for a striker.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think of all the players we have, I don't think we were more happy with Falcao getting the eventual winner, because everyone wanted to see him score. And that's what, you pay the money for, as they say. And he delivered. Emphatically, you could say. So, moving on to this is going to be interesting, because I remember at the time of the game talking about how Robin van Persie wasn't really doing anything, and so what have you gone and given him?
I gave him a 5.
I gave him a 4.
Okay.
So shall I explain a 4?
I was going to explain a 5 quickly, if it's okay.
Well, that makes no sense, does it? Because surely the lower one...
Oh, alright, fine.
No, actually, no, go on, 5.
Alright, I was trying to be generous.
Okay.
Basically, he didn't really do much in the sense of finishing or crossing, and when he got into difficult positions, I think the commentary pointed out that at one point he turned in, he should have passed it wide to, I think it was Valencia, but instead he turned back in. He won a foul, but it was very much that he shouldn't have been turning in field in the first place. He didn't really get... But he was in the box, but he didn't really look dangerous, and he kept drifting wide, where he's less comfortable, I'd say. So yeah, I'd give him a 5 in that sense.
Yeah, I give him a 4 because I don't think he did anything in the game that made me want to keep him on. So every time there was a substitution, I was hoping it was Van Persie. And when it eventually came and James Wilson came on, although James Wilson didn't do much, he was a youngster thrown in when we were trying to hold on to the game. So he didn't really get a chance. And it got to the point during the game when Van Persie would make error after error. And the reason that we didn't win 3 or 4... by 3 or 4 goals, we didn't score 3 or 4 goals, was that moves would end with Van Persie. Whether him blazing it miles over or whether or not because he's holding it up Like, there were many times where we were breaking on Everton and we could have actually moved ourselves up the pitch. It would get to Van Persie and he'd just slow the whole move down by trying to take on a couple of players when all he had to do was pass to Valencia, who had space to run. So it was disappointing. So I gave him a 4, but I was deliberately harsh because he was getting 6s in previous weeks, but his performances, he hasn't improved, and that's the biggest thing. That's why I've got to give him a 4 and not just a 6 or a 5 again, because I always gave him the benefit of the doubt on his performances on the basis of fitness. But it's been like 2 months now.
Yeah.
So you should be fit by now. And it can't be a problem with the system because you're used to playing in this system. So I'm not particularly impressed, actually. I hope it's not the sign of worrying decline, a slow decline, especially considering the fact that you could have sold Van Persie and kept Welbeck, say, or, you know.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of myself because Robin Van Persie is a far better player than Danny Welbeck. But yeah, it's a worrying thing because it's not a 22-year-old player or a 26-year-old player not scoring. Like, I was never worried about Falcao becoming a flop in the sense because he's got the proven track record and he's coming into his peak. Whereas with Van Persie, I'm saying if he has a bad season this season, next season he's going to probably be worse anyway, just because he's a year older and we're past the peak now.
No one's going to want to buy him.
Yeah, the
unless
peak,
it's some random...
essentially the end of the peak was Sir Alex Ferguson's last title win, pretty much.
Yeah,
that was the end of his peak. We bought him at the end of his peak, which is why Arsenal did what they thought they did well to cash in. But obviously, we got our money's worth in that season, in a way.
Yeah.
So maybe on Mata. What do you think about Mata?
I gave him a 7.
I gave him a 6. He got an assist, but I thought that he was all right, basically. I think I've seen Mata play better for us. His assist was pretty easy. It was nicely done, nicely weighted.
But I think it wasn't just that. I think it was because passing was very good in the game. He often dropped back, so it was kind of like playing like a deep line playmaker position on like counter attacks and things. And I just thought he had a good overall game.
True, but I'm pretty sure Van Gaal didn't want him to do that. In that whole deep line playmaker thing, because he says in the post-match interview something like, the reason I brought on loads of subs was because the team was losing its shape, which seemed to indicate to me that people were losing their shit in the last 10 minutes.
But he never took off Mata. So.
True, but you could take other players off to keep the shape. Like, he took Valencia off for Fellaini, and he took Van Persie off, and Van Persie wasn't ruining the shape. It's so much that you can bring people on who are fresh and then go to, oh wait, Mata, stay where you are, or things like that. But yeah, I thought he was okay, basically, and a Mata 7 or 8 performance is a thing of beauty, so I don't want to give him too much credit for what I thought was pretty average day at the office.
Oh, okay.
In terms of the other 2 midfielders, what did you give Di Maria and Valencia?
I gave Di Maria an 8.
Yep, same here.
Because of his superb crossing and lovely finish, and I gave Valencia a 7 because he didn't score a goal, but he was devastating down that right-hand side, and he was adapting well to his kind of new position of like a centre midfielder drifting wide, which is encouraging.
Yeah, I gave Di Maria an 8 because he's an excellent player, and would it not be for a certain heroics from a player we'll mention later, he probably would have got man of the match. In fact, he got man of the match, but they have to give it early, which I don't know why they give it early. I think it's so the stadium announcer can announce it, but that's a really trivial reason. But yes, I thought he was excellent. I think he scored a lovely first goal. It was just, you could see it. Like, before he hits it, I said goal. I was like, goal, nice. And he just whipped in, like, it was brilliant. And also he got the assist as well for Falcao.
Yeah.
Well, it was like a drilled assist, which and you know he does drilled assists. You know that wasn't a terrible shot because he does it before in the Leicester game. He's set people up, or he's attempted to set people up. And in the QPR game, he'll do this sort of low cross. He just like whips it in low, knowing defenders aren't expecting it. So it was an all-round excellent performance from Angel Di Maria. He's been a really good acquisition. I think I already forgot until it was mentioned by the commentators. He is the most expensive British signing because he was 54 million, which is 4 more than Torres. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, that's encouraging.
Yeah, and Di Maria is an excellent player. So I have to say, whilst it looks like, from the evidence of the Sunday's game and the last season, although I called it at the beginning, that Real Madrid got a very good deal for Ozil in selling him for 42, it looks for 54 that we've got a bargain really.
Mm.
Because he looks a £54 million player at the moment.
It looks more than that.
Yeah, it looks really.
It looks better than James Rodriguez.
He looks better than James Rodriguez, that's true. Although James Rodriguez had a good little start, but I would say that Di Maria looks like a player that they could have done with keeping, really.
Yes.
Because he's got better, I would say. He's better for us now than I think he was last season for Real Madrid. He was excellent for Real Madrid.
I didn't follow Real Madrid season last year, I couldn't possibly say.
Okay, fair enough. Well, they did well, by the way.
Okay,
they did well.
Did they now?
I gave Valencia a 6, though, because
Okay.
I thought, oh, this is good for Valencia. Then I realised, for Valencia. He wasn't that great defensively. Like, whenever Everton had the ball, they pretty much controlled the midfield once they got past Valencia and Di Maria, which is fair enough, because Blind's there, but Blind had to do the work of 2 men, essentially. Which is fine, because Blind's been bought to do the work of 2 men. But I do feel that I'd be happier long-term with Ander Herrera or Carrick where Valencia was.
Okay.
So I gave him a 6. Blind, I gave a 6.
I also gave a 6.
Yeah, good performance.
It was a nice average performance. He probably could have played better, but he got an early yellow card that I think limited his ability to fly in on people.
Yeah, you said that at the time. You said, oh, it's annoying that he got a yellow card. Same with Van Persie, actually. Van Persie hindered himself because within a minute or something he got a yellow card for a stupid tackle, and it's like, well, that's great, because now you can't pressure
High up
the pitch. So then Falcao and Mata had to press much higher up the pitch than Van Persie, which then contributed to him being a lazy shit. So it's a shame for Blind because it sort of meant that he could only go for tackles he definitely thought he could win, which meant there was a lot of times where he was sort of screening and people would be passing sideways and he couldn't risk going on with a slide tackle, which is fair enough. Moving on to the back 4, what have you given the back 4, William?
I gave Shaw a 7, Rojo a 6, McNair a 7, Raphael an 8.
Okay, so I've been slightly harsher. I gave Raphael a 7, although he had an excellent performance. I gave McNair a 6. I probably would have given him a 7, but I thought like the way that I feel like I'd be patronising to give him a 7 because last time I gave him a 7 and he played about as well. But then the reason for my 7 was it's his debut. There's adrenaline, all this playing, and I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. But now I want to sort of judge him as a proper first team player, just like I would judge Blackett now. Because he's proven he can do it. Like McNair versus Lukaku, I think a lot of fans were getting carried away saying McNair's incredible because he's dealt with Lukaku, but as they showed on Match of the Day, and I agree with this analysis, shock, Match of the Day doing good analysis, but Lukaku being played as a wide target man doesn't work at all. And it didn't work against Liverpool at all. He barely got the ball, and it didn't work against us because his only chances really. Like people were saying it was McNair kept him quiet, but most of the time it was just he barely got the ball. Like the ball was played to him and he was like wide left and Raphael just dealt with it. Not to say that McNair didn't have a good game, but I would say that McNair was better in the last game.
Yeah, he was.
Not that means that he's bad today. I'd be happy to see him in the centre-back position next week. It'd be interesting to see if Blackett and McNair can play together as a centre-back partnership.
That would be interesting.
Especially considering that everyone says we need a centre-back, and I would agree that I would have expected us to get a centre-back, but if it turns out that McNair and Blackett together are a centre-back partnership, then we can look forward with optimism. I gave Rojo a 6. This is the first time I watched Rojo play, and I didn't think, oh shit, what have we done?
Would you not say that McNair played better, though?
Oh, I think they play about the same. The reason I would say that... I'd say they played about the same, because what I found most annoying about Rojo's game is he didn't seem to know... Out of him and Blackett, when they played together, he didn't seem to know which one was supposed to be the ball-playing ball-playing defender. So Blackett would come out with possession in and be looking for the pass to the halfway line, right? And then he'd run straight back. But then Rojo would, when he got possession, would run up to the halfway line, and Blackett would already be up there. And it seems like Rojo is better as the ball-playing defender.
Yeah.
But the problem is if someone else like Blackett's there who... also has clearly been told by Van Gaal to be that player.
Yeah.
He just runs forward anyway, and it creates these like all kinds of bullshit positions. But yeah, and he shows a lot of passion, which again means nothing without the performances. Oh, sorry again. Passion means nothing without performances. And he's given the performances now, so that's encouraging. I gave Shaw a 6 because I think you may have forgotten he conceded a penalty.
Oh, I did actually. Screw
Okay.
that. Back to 6 then.
Yeah, because he was quite good, but then I think like he's not as... I gave Raphael a 7, so I would say he wasn't as good as Raphael, and he conceded a penalty, so...
Okay, fair enough.
I can't possibly give him that. And then we move on to the star of the show, David De Gea.
But not man of the match.
Well, no, of course not. Although Angel Di Maria pretty much like sacrificed his man of the match at the end, didn't he? So.
Yeah. De Gea, I gave De Gea a 9 because this season he's not been in the best of form, but then yesterday he pulled out an absolutely amazing performance.
And it's hard to go from really disappointing. Like, I think we gave him a 5 or something last week.
I think so, yeah.
Because of his errors for the West Ham goal.
Yeah.
And then he just completely blitzed it today. And that's very hard to do. It's very hard to go from having a poor game to a very good game.
Yeah.
So that's why it was even more impressive than it was. And it was some great defending. I should actually give Blackett some credit because the wonder save that De Gea makes, I didn't even think he was going to need to make it, because I thought that Gareth Barry's shot was just going to go straight in and Blackett throws himself at it. Takes it on the arse like a true professional, I think.
Yep.
Or was it the back? It doesn't matter. Anyway, it was somewhere to hurt. And then the second shot comes rifling in and De Gea deals with it awesomely.
Also, I think it was Naismith who had a chance that De Gea made a fantastic reflex save. And, of course, the penalty save. Were all fantastic saves, and he was proving that he more than warranted his position as our best keeper.
Oh yeah, he's definitely our best keeper. I mean, Van Gaal tried out the youngsters, clearly thinks Ben Amos is shit.
That's fair enough.
Ben Amos made some mistakes in pre-season and he hasn't used him since. Apparently Sam Johnston is highly rated in the academy, but I don't know too much about that, and I don't know if we have any other goalkeepers. The irony being that the sort of best goalkeeper to come out of our academy in the last 10-15 years is probably Ron Robert Ziegler, and we got rid of him for like 400k.
Yeah,
and we kept
Ben Foster.
Well, he didn't come from our academy. Did
Oh
he?
no,
Ben Foster, we bought him, but still, yeah. So De Gea is the keeper from now. I could see De Gea being our keeper for a long time anyway. When we signed him, I think a lot of people were hoping that he'd be our long-term keeping prospect, and I think that's definitely the case here. Yeah, he's young, he's learning. Someone said in one of the full-time Devils review videos that they said watch this space. They reckon he'll get better than Neuer. I think there'll be a time when De Gea is better than Neuer, but not necessarily because Neuer is ever worse than him in the sense that De Gea is younger, so Neuer may peak, and then when De Gea is in his peak, I think when De Gea is 32, Neuer is going to be like 35. Yeah. So there may be a time when De Gea is genuinely better than Neuer because they're in the same sort of ballpark and because one's younger than the other. But I think Neuer is probably one of the best players in any position I've seen play in my lifetime. He's incredible.
He's just depressingly good, isn't he?
Yeah, if we weren't living in the era of Ronaldo and Messi, I think that his performances at the World Cup would arguably merit the Ballon d'Or, just on the basis that the Ballon d'Or is always given or favoured to attacking players or centre mids, and secondly because I can't think of any other player for Germany who just made that look like they were always going to win that tournament. But Ronaldo's incredible. So yeah, what was it? He's got another hat trick last night.
Yeah.
So that's 9 goals in 15 days, which it's more than I can score in the league. Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so generally we're going into the next 3 games, and we're looking at this, and so we've got 2 more games without Rooney: away against West Brom, and at home against Chelsea. So, what are we thinking there? How is this team shaping up? Do we need Rooney? Will Rooney come back into this team easily, or
I think the Mata came in well against Everton to fill the gap that Rooney had to vacate, and I think at someone like West Brom that could also be probably doable. My concern would be that how will Mata play against Chelsea, because of course it was the team he used to play for, and we don't know whether he will choke or relish the opportunity. So
true, but Fabregas was insane against Arsenal.
That is true, but they are different people.
Yeah, true, but again, you're basing your assessment of Mata on the basis that people play crap against their former teams. Where I would think
sometimes they do.
But I would think that Juan Mata, while he liked the Chelsea fans and all that, he would be more than happy to show Mourinho that he made a mistake selling him.
I hope so.
He was marginalised. It wasn't a situation like Lampard moving to City. This was a player who was essentially marginalised and kicked out of his system despite being the player of the year. And at the time it looked silly, If they win the league this year, then fair enough. For sort of proving themselves to be correct.
Yeah, but one could also say that Chelsea, their squad depth is so good anyway that they didn't really need Mata. So I guess Mourinho was kind of right in that sense. But I really, really hope that Mata just goes, actually, you were wrong, and just plays awesome.
Oh, yeah, I think we can do quite well against Chelsea. They play quite a rigid defensive system, hoping to counter-attack on the break. And I think that with the quality of attacking players we have, like Di Maria and Falcao and Mata, I think we've got enough in us to break them down. Because I watched Arsenal play against them yesterday, and Arsenal were just passing around doing nothing, weren't getting in behind them. But I think they didn't have anyone to take on the ball and take on 3 players, and we have Di Maria who could definitely take on the ball and suddenly take on 3 players. We had more width than Arsenal had. Arsenal had no width against them. We've got Shaw and we've got Raphael. Yeah. And I think Van Gaal might have some tricks up his sleeve for his young protégé, who's since become quite a famous manager.
Yeah.
So I think we'll do alright. I don't think we're going to lose.
Oh, I do.
I don't think we'll lose. I think we'll win. I think we'll beat West Brom as well. Away against City, I'm actually more concerned about because we're away against a team that destroyed us last time, home and away.
I mean, personally, I think we could probably beat West Brom away with ease. Chelsea at home...
With ease? That's pretty strong.
Yeah. Chelsea at home, I think that I don't think we'll win. I think we'll lose because I think it's going to be one of those games where it'll be very kind of battles in the midfield and they won't be particularly pretty to watch, and Chelsea will just break on us because there'll be like a defensive error from one of our young players. Personally, I think we'll lose that, unfortunately. And City at home, City away, I'm terrified.
But Rooney's coming back. Half the team have never played in a Manchester derby, so they don't know what it's like to lose 3-0 thanks to the Yaya Tourés.
But conversely, one could argue that...
Awesomeness. Come.
One could argue that a back four that is inexperienced against, I don't know, Aguero and David Silva and people like that, and Dzeko, might capitulate.
Yeah, but they haven't capitulated thus far. A lot of people would say that McNair was supposed to capitulate against Lukaku and didn't.
I know, but I'd say there's a bit of a step up between Lukaku and Aguero because they're completely different players.
Or Dzeko.
And Dzeko.
I think if we get a draw, we'd be pretty happy with ourselves in that game. I think a win and a draw, like 2 wins and a draw from that, and we come out the other side, and we're most probably still in the top 4, and we'd be closer to Chelsea probably by the end of that.
Don't get me wrong, if we beat City, I will bloody love it, but I just don't think we have the squad depth to cope with.
I think it's okay. I think it's okay to not be that optimistic in the sense that these 2 teams, Chelsea and Manchester City, are the big teams. But I would also say that I think they have European games in between, and we've got an entire week to sort of train. So we do have that advantage in the sense that we're not coming off Champions League games. We are going straight in against them, and they are playing group games, and then we have the whole week to prepare against playing them.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have an advantage in that sense, and it's an advantage we should sort of relish as opposed to worry too much, I think. But I think it's okay if we lose against both of them. It isn't like I wouldn't say it's too bad on Van Gaal if we lost 1-0 at home to Chelsea and then 1-0 in the Manchester derby or 2-1 in the Manchester derby, because we've seen worse, and also we know we're a work in progress. Chelsea last season were a work in progress. And now they're the finished article. If they don't win this season, then you've got to ask Mourinho questions, because he's been going on about, until I get my striker, until I get my creative midfielder, then I'm nothing. Well, now he's got Fabregas and Diego Costa, so if he doesn't win the league now, then what was he complaining about? And then obviously Manchester City are the champions.
Not for much longer, though.
Well, they could well win it again. I mean, they've got some real quality, so that will be a big one. I think Van Gaal will know that's a big one. Like, if he beats Chelsea, that's all well and good for points wise, but if he beats Man City away, then I don't know. It feels like that's exactly
automatically better than Moyes.
Well, it's the sort of game that Moyes definitely couldn't win, and I had no belief that we were going to win them at all. Whereas with Van Gaal, I'm suddenly a bit more optimistic, and if he does win it, he's like, this is what we're going to do. This is bang. Like, we've just beaten the champions at their own place. This is what we're all about, and I think it'll be a massive statement for him.
Yeah.
You're pretty much guaranteed that he won't get sacked this season if he beats Man City, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's always encouraging that we have a manager that isn't sacked every 5 seconds.
No, it's good.
Unless they're shit.
No, unless they're shit. So I think the whole idea of us not sacking managers is a bit trite, but also there's a point to it in the sense that we've sacked 2 managers. Like I'm going to say Ryan Giggs being replaced by Van Gaal is not a sacking because he's gone back into the team, but we've only sacked 2 managers in like 20 plus years, so we've still got quite a good record for that. But obviously you don't sack Alex Ferguson, whereas you're more than happy to sack David Moyes.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't very good.
Because he's shit, yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for listening. Do like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Do let us know in the comments if you're happy with us doing team ratings or whether or not you think this system should be overhauled, and let us know what you think.
We
let
should
us know
change our philosophy.
Yes, indeed. Oh, we got it in for the first time.
Hey.
Oh, brilliant. Hey. Do let us know if you have any comments that you want to make about Falcao, about the penalty. We didn't really talk about the penalty. I thought it was a Stonewaller, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. That's the end of the discussion. Let us know about the upcoming games, what you think will happen. West Brom away, Chelsea, Man City. Do you think Rooney will come straight back in after the Man City game? Or do you think that he'll be sort of left out and used as a substitute? Thank you very much for listening, and there's going to be a massive break. We may do a small one about the international break, but it will be satirical because I do not give a shit about England.
No, I couldn't give a flying fuck.
And we're against, I think it's Estonia and San Marino, so that could be very brief and it could be very sarcastic.
Or indeed non-existent.
Or indeed non-existent, so it may be a while before you hear from us again. So until the aftermath of the West Brom game, potentially, thanks for listening, and we shall see you when... Well, you'll never see us.
No, you'll never see us.
Never see us. But, well, you shall hear us soon.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.